Good day, students. Welcome to Mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over how to apply the midpoint formula. This standard is covered in Algebra 1, 2, and Geometry courses, also in Pre-Calc. But in this presentation, we're going to be focusing our attention on the Algebra 1 level of complexity. Do not forget, we have 5 practice problems at the end of this presentation that will like you to try out in order to demonstrate that you've mastered the contents of this tutorial. To get us started, let's take a look at what the formula that will be guiding our problem solving process today is, and that is the midpoint formula. All right, so what is the midpoint formula? We're just going to go over the algebraic representation of the formula, okay? So the midpoint formula is as follows. The midpoint of a line segment with endpoints x1, y1, and x2, y2. So in the problems we're going to be doing today, I will be giving you the endpoints, and then you are to use the endpoint to find the midpoint, okay? So the midpoint of a line segment with endpoints x1, y1, and x2, y2 is given by, so let's call M the representation of that point, okay? M is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 for the x coordinate. And then for the y coordinate of the midpoint, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. All right? So let's take a look at what's going on here in this formula. All we're doing is averaging the x coordinates and the y coordinates in order to find the midpoints. Alrighty? Okay, so before we get started, let's go ahead and outline the steps that we'd like you to follow in applying this formula in finding the midpoints. Okay, so steps. The steps are as follows. So first thing you want to do is you want to label your points. Label your points. So basically you need to know your x1, y1 and x2, y2. Secondly, this is a very important step. We'd like you to write down the formula. All right, it doesn't hurt to write down the formula. It will prevent you from making mistakes. So write down the formula, and then lastly you're just going to substitute. You're going to substitute what you labeled in 1 into 2, and you're going to simplify using the order of operations. Okay, substitute and simplify using PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So these are the steps that we're going to be following in our presentation, and we'll like you to follow the same steps in the practice problems too. Alright, so the instructions for the two examples we're going to be working on is as follows. You're to find the midpoint of the line segment with the given endpoints. Okay? Alright, so for number 1, let's say we have the line segment with the endpoints -6, -8, and 0, 10. Alright, so remember the steps. What is the first thing that we want you to do? First thing you want to do is label the points, okay? This is x1, y1. Okay, the indices represent the position of the point. So 1 means the first point, and then the 2s are the second point, okay? So this will be x2, y2. Alright, and then next we are going to write down the formula. Midpoint M is x1 plus x2 over 2. This is the average of the x's for the x coordinate, and then y1 plus y2 over 2, the average of the y's for the y coordinate. Label, write down the formula, and then substitute. Now let's substitute our labels into the formula. So we're going to have x1, which is negative 6, plus x2, which is 0, over 2. So that's the x coordinate of the midpoint. And for the y coordinate of the midpoint, y1 plus y2 over 2, the average of the y coordinates. Alrighty, now what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and simplify both coordinate points using the order of operation. Okay, so we have the grouping operation in the numerator. We'll take care of the numerator first. Negative 6 plus 10 is negative 6. So we have negative 6 over 2. For the x coordinate, for the y coordinate, we have negative 8 plus 10. The signs are different, so you subtract and keep the sign of the bigger, which is 2 over 2. And your final answer, your midpoint, is going to be negative 6 over 2 is negative 3, comma 1. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the answer to question number 1. The midpoint between the two given points, negative 6, negative 8, and 0, 10. All right, let's try another example, and then we'll give you an opportunity to try out some problems on your own. All right, so for question number 2, let's say we are given the points, endpoints of the line segment, and they are 5, negative 5, and 5, negative 9. So we're going to follow the same steps that we indicated earlier. Step number 1 is to label. Okay, so x1, y1 for the first point, and then x2, y2 for the second point. All right, so that's step 1. And then step 2, you write down your formula for the midpoint. So you average the x's, x1 plus x2 over 2. And the y's, you average them to y1 plus y2 over 2. All right, so you label, write down the formula, and then next you're going to substitute and simplify using the order of operations, okay? So m, upon substitution, is going to be 5 is x1 plus x2, which is 5 divided by 2. The average of the x's in both points, and then for the y, y1 plus y2 is negative 9 over 2, average of the y coordinates, and then just use PEMDAS to finish this off, okay? So you have 5 plus 5, that's 10 over 2, comma, and then negative 5 plus minus, if you multiply these two signs, that's going to be a negative. All right, so I will have minus 5 minus 9 over 2. Okay, and then here 10 over 2 is 5. And then minus 5 minus 9 signs are the same. You add and keep the sign. That will be negative 14 over 2. And then your final answer, the midpoint, is given by 5 comma negative 7. All right, so this is basically how you find the midpoint of a line segment with the given endpoints algebraically. Alrighty, now it's your turn to try out some practice problems. So I'd like you to pause the video presentation and try these practice examples. So the instructions are the same as what was indicated in the practice problems. You're to find the midpoint of the line segment with the given endpoints. Alrighty, so pause the video presentation, try out these 5 problems. When you are done, click on the play button, and we are going to reveal what the correct answers are. Alrighty, welcome back. So hopefully you had a chance to try the problems. Let's take a look at what the answers are. For the first one, the midpoint is 2, 3. For the second one, the midpoint is negative 5, 2. For the third one, the midpoint is 1/2, 3. For the fourth one, the midpoint is 1, negative 8. And for the final one, number 5, the midpoint is negative 1, 4.5 or 4.5. All right, so how well did you do in these 5 practice problems? Let us know how well you did in the comments section below. And if there are any questions or clarifications that you want about either these practice problem sets or what we covered in the tutorial, just let us know, and we'll be more than glad to assist you. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. I really appreciate it. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your studies of algebra, do give us a thumbs up or like. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to tutorials that we upload on our site on a regular basis. Tons of support resources can be found at our website, Mathgotserved.com. Do check it out. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.